Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're just going to give it another minute or so to allow everyone to come into the session. Well, thank you for joining us today. My name is Patrick McCreesh from Simatree. We're very excited to host this webinar today on how process mining is modernizing process improvement. And we're excited because this really is a future-leaning topic with some future-leaning leaders who are going to talk to us today about what we can do to really look out at what can be done with process improvement, enabling organizations for how they can use their data in new ways to really modernize their business. Just a couple of housekeeping matters before we jump into it. We are in GoToMeeting webinar, and what that means is that you are all in listen-only mode. We will open up for questions at certain times, but you should have a questions bar on the right-hand side. At any time, if you have a question, please drop it in there, and we'll try to make sure that it gets answered as soon as possible. And at other times, we will just open up freely for your questions. I think that should be it in terms of our housekeeping matters. So let's jump into it and start with introductions. As I said, my name is Patrick McCreesh. I'm one of the co-founders of Simatree, where I focus mostly on strategy and how to build out chief data offices. My expertise is really around transformation and change management. So what I try to do is help organizations figure out how to encourage the usage and adoption of their data and their digital transformations. I'd like to turn it over now to my partner, Wes, so he can introduce himself and tell us a little bit about how he fits into this conversation.
Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, my name is Wes. I have about 25 years of background in data and analytics and general IT. In that time, I've had the pleasure of working on a number of transformation projects and process improvement projects. So I hope today that I'll get the opportunity to share some of that background with you guys. And I'm going to pass it over to Kumar. If you want to introduce yourself, that would be great.
Thanks, Wes. Hello all, good afternoon. My name is Kumar Narala, founder and CEO of Abia. I'm looking forward to showcase you all the importance of process intelligence for any business or organization who are looking to improvise their business processes. With that, Javier.
Hello, everybody. My name is Javier Ruiz. I'm an industrial engineer by training, so process improvement, process mining comes home real quick for me. I have 20+ years of experience in data and analytics, so looking forward for the conversation today. Patrick?
All right, thank you. So what sits at the heart of what we're discussing today is really process improvement. And what we're looking at is kind of a modernized way to do process improvement. So when we're thinking about how process improvement is done, what are some of the common projects that really are where we use process improvement? Javier, why don't you start us off?
Okay, thank you, Patrick. So let me put in context a little bit the industry and the company that I work for. I work for a multinational telecommunications company with revenues of 130 billion, with segments of consumer and business. This is a very large service organization, which big operations, acquisitions, mergers, very complex processes, as well as big data, huge amount of data within this service organization. So I think this is a very good use case to talk about from a process improvement perspective, as well as process mining. So let me get a little bit deep into what use case I was planning to share with you today. This is a use case related to the digital domain. Basically, the main premise is how to improve the digital customer experience in this company and industry. Why digital? Because my company has a goal of being a first digital company as part of the digital transformation program that we are embarked on. And not only that, given the COVID-19 situation, I think digital is a good use case to talk about today in terms of process improvement. In the case of my company, we have 3 different channels that we tell digital, that we mean by digital. One of them is the web page, the other one is the app, and the other one is chatbot. And as you know, we have probably other assisted channels like call centers, stores, and like agent chats. So we are trying to avoid those channels because those channels are very costly. So one key example within the digital domain perspective is the sales process. For example, if a customer wants to purchase a particular device, there are many processes, many visits the customer takes on, many steps, thousands of paths combinations, clicks, and pages. So we are talking about big data and complex processes. So basically, a failure in this particular process will mean a customer exiting this particular flow or funnel, and a success will be ordering a particular device, someone who is staying within the funnel, right? So as I said, this process has many complex processes with that includes device selection, protection plans, accessories, plan reviews, promotions, shopping carts, checkouts, confirmation. So the way we are trying to approach this in my company is using process mining. One of the technologies that we use today is to detect failure points using some techniques like anomaly detection, including path analysis, cross-channel insights, failure prediction. And all of this will allow us to do not only design new processes, but also going through a journey of continuous process improvement.
So Javier, it sounds like maybe your mic might be a little bit covered up or something, like, or is it just your connection? We can hear you and understand you, but it's a little bit muted. Oh,
okay. Yep.
Much better.
That's better.
Much better.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. We could hear you, but there was just it almost sounded like you were wearing a mask, to use the COVID example.
Yeah. An invisible mask.
There we go. Thank you. So Wes, what do you think about Javier's examples, and how does that play with what you've seen?
Yeah, I appreciate that response a lot, because you went into continuous process improvement in terms of how do I improve an established process, and I think that is what really a lot of the projects out there need. There is also a big challenge I've seen around new projects. I'll take 2 big ones, for instance. One is digital transformation projects, where a business is really trying to change the way they function by taking things more digital, not just improve their existing digital experience. And more people are trying to drive to robotic process automation, or RPA. Both of these are really process improvement based functions or programs. And I've seen that basically there's a high degree of failure with both of those types of projects out there in the industry. And when I've looked at those and tried to peel back the layers of like the causes of the challenges there, really has to go with a lot of the pre-design work related to these projects. And so I've seen process intelligence that can be used to really create and identify really the really highly unexpected anomalies out there, the things that maybe a subject matter expert was not able to identify through some of the initial requirements and design phases. And that way things don't pop up once the project moves to production that cause the project to go awry. So I definitely would put those 2 big categories, that streamlining existing process as well as getting a new program off on the right foundation.
Yeah, and so I'm hearing two kind of themes here, 2 really broad sets of use cases around process improvement and transformation. I mean, Kumar, you're a product owner. What do you think? Are these the two big buckets of use cases out there?
Yes, absolutely. I think, Javier and Wes mentioned really great use cases. I agree with them. And then there are several use cases that can go really broad. Any business process, if you are looking at whether it is a microprocess of supply chain or order to cash, certainly you can go across. And Javier touched a really great point is that so normally you have a business process and you can quickly calculate metrics like how many orders are being canceled. But what caused that orders to cancel? What is the root cause analysis is only possible by process intelligence. And then to West's point, in the digital transformation, you have once you look at the process from a process intelligence view, then you have a clear-cut picture of what would be the right candidates I can automate and at what cost, what would be my ROI. Basically, you are making a data-driven, informed decisions when you are looking at a process using process intelligence.
So I'm starting to hear some words that you all are using, and I think some of us know what process improvement is. Probably all of us have had some exposure to that. But today we're also talking about this concept of process intelligence. And just so we level set what that actually is for everyone, process intelligence is not just process improvement, it's a systems and data-based discipline for discovering, monitoring, and improving real processes. That's a little bit different. That's going a little bit beyond what we've done in the past, right? So Kumar, thinking about that, how would you build on that definition and give us some of the other things that we should be thinking about around process intelligence? Right.
When to consider process intelligence is that your information pointing to, right, Patrick? So how companies, when do you need process intelligence normally? So if you have a business process, a just plain business process, you just need to have 100% visibility into your process to start with. And if you're a company that has grown through acquisition, or if you are have all your business process in multiple systems, be it in one SAP system, Oracle ERP system, you've grown through acquisition and you need to get a view of your process. That's one big use case where you can consider process intelligence. Or if you are considering, for Wes touched upon the digital transformation, what would be, I just don't want to automate for the sake of automation. I want to look at my process and look at each activities and find out, is it worth automating? Maybe I can just eliminate it. So there are several use cases where you really need process intelligence. Hopefully answered the question, information you're looking for.
Yeah, and I think you're starting to get to this issue of how you really drive value from process intelligence, and I think it'd be helpful to bring in Javier and hear a little bit about kind of how you've seen value derived from process intelligence. You were talking about digital analytics. Is that a place where you've seen real value driven from process intelligence?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Patrick. So following on the thinking of Kumar previously about metrics, in the case, I'm following also on the digital analytics example that I was given before. One critical thing for the processes to make sure that we are providing value is to measure those processes, right? How improving those processes are providing business value to our company, right? So I can share with you some of the real metrics that we are measuring today in the case of the digital sales process. For example, one of the metrics is to increase the digital channel mix, right? We want more customers going into the digital channels because just going to a call center that costs our company $18 per call, for example, right? Or interacting with a live chat agent that will cost around $5. So with these process improvement initiatives and moving people from the assisted channels to the digital channels, we'll be able to reduce costs to the company. Not only that, from a customer satisfaction perspective, we have a particular metric called Net Promoter Score. But basically the idea is if the customers are happy about the customer experience, which is basically the processes are streamlined, that score increases. That's a very well-known industry score that a lot of companies in the use today. Another metric would be, for example, the conversion rates. How many customers are able to have a success in the order? In our company, it's about 20%. And one key metric as well is the exit rates, right? As I said before, we don't want customers exiting the funnel. We want customers to stay in the funnel and follow the process. Exits mean failures. And I think Kumar can touch upon those failure points when he does his
Yeah, and I think, Wes, you were bringing up a visual just a second ago that kind of shows a lot of the different ways that we can derive value. Maybe you could walk us through a couple of different other examples that you've seen.
Sure. Yes, I love this question. I think when I think about process improvement, I often think about Lean Six Sigma, really focusing on removing waste and improving the quality, right? And we can really see that process improvement has applications really across so many industries and really functional areas within each industry. And so this is a great example, whether you're talking about operational efficiency, right? We want to reduce cycle time. We want to reduce, increase customer experience, improve our staff productivity, right? And overall improve efficiency. And I think we can go across each of these areas and see that there's some real big, so what common sense value returns. But the consistent theme is really how do I remove those things that are just unneeded, and how do I create a superior experience for the customer in the process, and improve the quality of my product. And I really think the RPA example is a great modern scenario. I think in the insurance space, you hear a lot about hyper automation lately, and I think that is really the ability to use AI-driven RPA and take it to the nth degree. And I really think about that. That is a process intelligence enabled RPA program. And so all of these, I think, contribute to significant value realization across so many broad scenarios.
I think it's a really good example, and I can't help but think who would be the people who would want to use process intelligence. I know through my years of consulting that almost any engagement could have some sort of process improvement element, but process intelligence is something that it seems could then be a part of almost any process improvement engagement. Has that been your experience, Kumar, that really anyone could use process intelligence?
Yes, within a business process, there are several different personas that are involved. The people who are in charge of the business process, the executive people, they really need to have a really good, healthy dashboard or key metrics within that process. This is different from a traditional BI type of dashboards. This gives you exactly how your process efficiency is in terms of the key metrics you are looking for within that process. And then you have the line managers and the analysts who are in charge of a particular vertical of that process, and the owners and researchers, like me, who really need to look at this process. And you are acquiring a different company, or like me, some other improving the business process, they need to research and find out like what exactly is the optimum in this process and see they can replicate in the next process. So that is another persona. And then the auditors. The auditors are two types. One is the compliance type of auditors, and also the auditors within the process, the business rules. For example, the supply chain would be the 3 W's, right? How the orders, the inventory, and the customer order shipped, they should all match. So there's different type of auditors also looking at the business process. So process intelligence touches pretty much like everybody within that business process and gives you the ability for all of them to extract the insights.
That makes sense. And for Wes and Javier, I mean, has this also been your experience? Have you seen these personas play out?
Yeah, I mean, from my experience, Patrick, yes, this is pretty much the personas that we see in the different processes that we handle in my company. I just want to add one thing to what Kumar just said, that is more related to which companies are usually involved in process improvement initiatives. Is when the economy is not that good, that's where you want to improve the processes, right? Because you want to remove costs out of the system. So I would say it's not necessarily for all the companies, because I would say in this particular situation right now, since we have COVID, a lot of financial pressures, that's where a lot of companies are really going through process improvement initiatives so that we can remove cost out of the system.
And that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
It makes a lot of sense. So I think what could be really helpful for us right now to make this real is to see how this plays out. And Kumar, you prepared a bit of a demo for us so that we can walk through that?
Yes, absolutely. So I can do that. Just give me a minute. By the way, let me know if my voice is clear. I just want to make sure.
Yep.
Oh.
It sounds crystal clear.
Let me, where is it? Okay, show my screen. And I'm going to launch. So let me know if you all can see my screen now.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So 1 second, let me minimize this GoToMeeting window and go back to the window. Okay. So to set you what you are looking at, this is a order to management of a small company that is selling office and school supplies to other businesses and schools. Now, what you are seeing is a process discovery and process map, and how this order management process looks like from a simple event logs, which you can point to any process intelligence or process mining tool, and the tool will normally automatically discover the relations between the all the activities within that order management, as well as the sequence, and then the intensity of the orders or the intensity of your transactions that are going through that process. So you don't have to give any of that information to a process intelligence platform. The platform will figure it out, what kind of relations and what sequence and what kind of levels each one of those are automatically done. So from a simple order management, this is what you are seeing, the whole process. This is how it looks like at a high level, you can tell. And also, you can also look at it by just not even looking at the labels. You can quickly see that where the concentration of the orders or transactions going through. And depending on the business case, you might consider them as a bottleneck, or sometimes your most traversed path or concentration of all your orders coming through. Now let me go ahead and change this quickly to some straight lines and change it to hexagon so that we can have more real estate. And so at a high level, let me go ahead and explain what exactly we are showing here. So from simple event logs of your ERP system or order management system, we arrived here, and you have a good view of your process, how it looks like. And what we are showing here is it also gives you some high level stats, which is it processed about 80,000 events, and it found there are about 10,000 unique orders, which costed about, the total value of those orders were about 23 million. And the total cost of that to process these 10,000 orders is about 3.24 million. And right here on the right hand side, you would see what is the fastest order. Well, it could be because of, as Javier mentioned, it might have canceled and bounced off really quick. What is the average for this whole set of data? And here is the most important one, the most friction order that went through 128 minutes. I can click on this and go to details, which I'll show you as well. And other thing that is very critical is within these 10,000 orders, there is 124 variations. What does it mean, the variation mean? So the variation mean a set of 332 orders went through a certain path, and then the next say a total of 654 has got like this path plus another variation of that path. You can click each one of those and see those paths as well. So it is also telling you how varied your process is, right? So let us go ahead and analyze where there is a lot of functionality we can drill through, click through and find out. But at a high level, let me quickly see what from a business analyst or a manager perspective, what it is telling by just looking at these orders. So we started with 10,000 orders, and here there is almost a 50% split between my guest logins and customer logins. If I'm the business owner, I'm a B2B company, I need to move most of these guest logins back into customer, proper loyal customers. Coming down, and I could see that how my payments are split. Again, very happy to see invoiced about 5,000 orders, but the online payment, we know for sure this company is paying some considerable person to PayPal to process online. So this is something dragging me down in terms of profit margins. So I need to take some action. So that is all the evident from the process mapping that's telling you how many transactions are going through. And then here, well, once we come down here, you're also seeing how the orders were pretty much evenly split between my warehouses. Very happy to see, if I'm a COO or my operations manager, to see that they are all equally distributing the load. And coming down, depending on the scenario, business case, you might find several of the light colored ones, which could be an anomaly or a process, but you expected more numbers to orders to follow, but very less showing up. So one such scenario here is we can quickly see the lightest color is there is a order reprocessed, which was in white color almost. About only 8 orders went through. Well, this is something I have not anticipated. And when I clicked on this, it shows me all the 8 orders over here, quickly telling me what kind of times it is and etc. Yeah, go ahead.
So Kumar, I had a question. Well, first an observation. First of all, when I think of typical business intelligence, being able to identify the needle in the haystack, so to speak, is often a challenge. And as you're walking through this, I see some of those needles starting to pop up, right? And so I don't know if you want to add a little bit about that, because I find that very useful in not knowing just what went well, but what didn't go so well, right? And then if you've identified these 8, how would I do further root cause analysis on that? Because I think once you identify them, you need to know how to respond to them.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's a great question. So there are two. How to find the root cause, or what kind of pattern I'm looking for, I can quickly tell. Is one way to do it is once these orders are shown here, I can click on this order and then go to details view. That will tell me what the full DNA of that order is, and it will show you everything that the process engineering tool has access to, all the data elements. Now you have a thorough DNA of exactly what kind of activities it went through, at what times, and who is the customer, which salesperson handled it, any other data that is available. And then that is one way to look at the order details. And down below is the timeline chart of the same grid. This helps when you have very many multitude of activities within an order. A grid is good, but this kind of navigation for you to quickly focus on what happened between this stage and this stage, what kind of time elapsed, will also help you. So this is, I'm looking at one order to answer your question. So I could, if you see that
that's a cycle time view, so we're actually able to determine which processes take longer over others and things of that nature.
Yes, when you have a multitude of activities within that order, say like it went through 50 steps, visually you can just browse through this one and focus on the activities you really want to. There is a huge gap here, 9 minutes, and then you can check other activities, how it is going through and find out. It's just the ability for you to focus quickly, again, within that order, which activities you want to focus on. So
all right, yeah, no, that's useful.
And so if I go back to this, I'm not going to click each one of those. So I can assure you that out of these 8 orders, 5 of them are binders. So there is a problem with binders. And that is one pattern you identified. Now, to answer the needle in the haystack, we found out, and there is a pattern or a set of categories, attributes that were common, seem to be common for these 8 orders. Now, what could be the reason for all of these to have a problem? So what I can do is I will click on this instance path once I selected 2 or 3 orders of my interest, and then check on that button. What the tool does is gives you the ability to track which paths those orders were taking. The tool randomly gave you 3 different colors, and it will exactly show you how these orders are flowing through. So this way, you know which precedence or path they have taken. So now you know what probably caused them to go to that route and fail or go to order reprocessed.
And Kumar, do I have the ability to look at different views, such as a dimensional view, or maybe break it out by a different metric, such as cost? How would I look at this from different angles?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So yeah, the other thing I forgot to show you is also you can just quickly click on any one order, and then let me show you that as well. That helps you for a business manager to quickly check the path also. It highlights the path for a one order, you want to check also of your focus. So to answer your question about the dimensions and all, there is a huge set of filters. You can filter by your metrics, you can filter for your dimensions within the process. So the other thing, more important, you touched upon the crux of whole process intelligence. It is just not that you want to look at your process purely by the orders or the number of patients flowing through in case of healthcare. You want to look at that by the profitability or the cost. So let me go ahead and launch the same process, how it looks like by profit. So I can click on this profit and it launches a digital twin of this. By the way, these color thresholds can be set by the user so that you know exactly which percentage will be shown in red, green, or what colors you chose. So let us take this example, Wes, as you said, how important for an analyst or a company to look at process by terms of metrics. So in the beginning of the process, I mentioned that to see that all my warehouses are equally distributing the load, but see what happens when we look at by the profit margin. So this is the look at the Atlanta warehouse versus the Pittsburgh and Seattle and Dallas. So most of them are 150 to 200% than Atlanta. Well, this is purely because of the type of low margin orders that are going through Atlanta warehouse. Now, as a business owner, you can make a decision probably even to shut down if that is the profit margin I am, but all my expenses are the same. So my point is when you are making info, you want to make a decision about your process to cut down the cost or digital transfer. It is very important to look at your process by various metrics also, like this profit. And then you can also look at by the obviously by the average times or total times and the cost, everything. Any of the metrics and dimensions you can look at by your process.
Yep. And let me just make a comment, Wes, on this one. So Kumar, I think what you're explaining right now is something that we can absolutely apply in the company that I work for, especially on the digital use case that I was explaining to you, which is purchasing a device, right? So from a customer perspective, think about it. A customer enters the flow, he goes to review the plan, and then he wants to buy accessories. And then what you're showing here, as an example, the dark hexagon in blue, I think points. So this can clearly show from a visualization perspective where are the exit, the failure points, like case exit rates, where are the conversion rates, right? Where people are having success. But not
Yes.
only that, one of the things that we have been applying in our company right now that you're bringing to the picture is the fact that this particular flow also considers metrics like profit, cost, revenue, things that usually people don't look at the process, right? When they want
Yes.
to improve a particular flow, usually
Yes.
they don't look at metrics. So this is something very interesting to a very interesting approach.
Thank you. Yeah, you absolutely nailed it. Yes, Javier. Yeah. Yeah, there is just another quick view I just want to highlight is this is the same process activities. What this quickly tells you is more of a, when you're looking at this process, you just want to know, like, what are the activities that are going from that particular activity and coming back. So the dots that are going out tells, like, where it is going from this particular one, and the coming in, you would know where this one. So this will also help you immediately identify any maverick or unseen, foreseen activity you have seen. You can just quickly collapse and add filters as well, or focus on the ones you want to see. Then you can quickly tell, yeah, from people from product browsing, everybody going to this step, complete order completed, and I'm only receiving from guest login. So you can see that, whether it is something of a normal or abnormality, quickly tell and get to the action item. Once you find something, you can take that action as well. There are other views, but yeah, to let you know how useful process intelligence can be.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. And when you think about how so many different organizations look at process today, you know, I'm used to the kind of Visio-driven view of process, where maybe data is added to the bottom of Visio to see what each of those little boxes is doing. This is definitely a much more powerful view of things.
Yes.
I would like to, just while you're finishing up, Kumar, start getting our audience queued up to think about what questions they may have that they would like to ask while you're wrapping up here.
Yeah. So yeah, just I think I'll wrap it in 30 seconds and wait for the questions. One thing I think we didn't touch upon is the personas. So there is a dashboard view that is for the executives as well, and this is purely on the process. So this will tell you exactly what your red, greens, or yellows are, how your orders are processing, and tell you where you need to focus. And I can quickly see that this is where my most of the problematic is between the 5160, and these are the number of orders concentrated, which is in yellow. So I can concentrate on this. So this is one dashboard that helps the executives. By the way, these dashboards are live in the sense you can actually from here go directly go to the process mining model with all the filters applied for this particular Atlanta warehouse. So this whole dashboard is interconnected with this process. You can launch from one place to other, and it also gives you a quick stats of how your SLAs were not met and how much you are under the water, etc. So there is this is a dashboard view, and you touched upon a great point on the flow chart. It's very critical for business users and for an organization is documentation. So you can, once you narrow down to your process you think is close to your realistic process that looks like, you can come and actually click on export to a BPM editor. So what it does gives you is now you can add your own sub process, and if there is a manual one that is involved in this process, you can create your own quick process and export this to your Appian or business process, or use it for training purposes or a template for next process as well. Basically, from the event log, you have a process map, and also can export this whole process to a BPM and model. From here, there you can go to create your own process and give it to your users as well. So with that, there are so many features I mean how it can benefit the organization from a persona perspective I just showcased. But with that, yeah, I'll take a pause and take any question.
I already had a first question for you, Kumar. You brought up the dashboard, which was very useful. But I've looked at a number of process mining tools out there, and I'm very familiar with some of these views, but others I've never seen before. But one thing I've seen a big challenge is that the data in the BI tools, like in the dashboard and executive views, are in a completely different system. Like how is this integrate with your BI exactly?
Yeah, so that's a beautiful question. So as for our product, what we have a thorough BI engine, that is why we call it as a process intelligence. This dashboard can be, by default comes with this one, the one. You can change any of this with the 170 plus charts we have access to. You can add any number of dashboards within few minutes, just by dragging and dropping, and then creating your widget, and then calling it whichever name you want. So there is a comprehensive BI involved that is powering this process from the process intelligence perspective, so that you can have many dashboards, and then from each executive perspective as well. Hope I answered your question, Wes.
Yeah, so I understand your product does it. I haven't seen it a lot with others. I just was curious. But I definitely saw the value of them being integrated. So that was the main thing.
Yeah, that's why it's process intelligence is you need to comprehensively integrate it thoroughly, so that every stakeholder is getting a value. And then and also the cross collaboration between the personas. So all I need is I simply double click this and go to the process insights, which will take you to the screen. So that is the key thing. It's more about the integration, a much needed dashboards and analytics to your whole process, as I said.
Yep.
So I think this would be a good time to see if we have any questions from our audience. I think we might need your help with that, Hannah, to just open up so that everyone may ask questions.
We already have one question from Prashant. Would you like me to read it out?
Yes.
It says, which is the best software for data analytics point of view? And if we could suggest some of the names.
Well, that could take us a long time. So let's do a heated debate here, guys.
Yeah, there's a number of technologies out there. Celonis is a big process mining. Vive, which is being presented here by the VIA Corporation. I think the bigger question when I look that I would want to ask there is, what are some of the key features that drive success? And so I might flip that question a little bit, and maybe Kumar, since you are in this business, you might have a point of view. What are some of the features that differentiate some of the products out there in the market?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Celonis is a great company. They are the trailblazer. They were there from the beginning, evangelized process intelligence, process mining. Whole process mining is 10 years old technology. Now, the key differences is to start with the whole architecture. We are totally different architecture. Most of the Celonis and all other tools base their core process mining algorithms on open source tools called ProM and XML based. Whereas our product is based upon multidimensional process mining. Well, multidimensional process mining, what is this? So the multidimensional process mining is the ability to look at the process not just by aggregates, but main process. This is the first breakthrough. So far, multidimensional process mining has been delegated to research only. This gives us the ability to process millions of records, and having 10, 20, 30, 40 dimensions or metrics in a split second, or very reasonable time. We don't have any problem dealing with millions of records. And then the metric view you saw, none of the tools gives you to look at the process by of those metrics. There are several huge set of features, but if you are interested, certainly we can give you more details. But at a high level, our philosophies and architectures are totally different. That gives us the scalability to address many metrics and dimensions and huge volumes of data.
Yeah, and I would just add that we work with a lot of different clients and at Simatree, and so we tend to be product agnostic when it comes to making recommendations. We have offered, as part when you registered for this course, there is an option for you guys to meet with us, and we can talk with you offline and get more of your specific requirements and needs. and we can definitely let you know what we think and why based upon your particular set of requirements.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you. Any other questions out there? Yeah.
Yes, we have a question from Chintan Shah. It says, excellent session. I have a question for Wes. With COVID-19, what are you seeing with respect to digital transformation and speeding up? Are more and more companies investing in process mining now than before?
Yeah, you know, one of the things, and I think Javier can be a great reference point with a major telco scenario. But I think the reality is, and I heard this come out mentioned a few times, is that people tend to be more open to driving change when the pressure's on, and when you think that entire business models had to have been redeveloped, whether you're looking at you know, really real estate, online businesses, some of them are flourishing, some of them aren't. The complete impacts of COVID are quite significant. And so it is one of these cases where if you don't invest in this process intelligence overall, you know, you could really be putting yourself in trouble. One of the things I wanted just to add to this particular topic, and this goes back into the historical view and perception of process improvement projects. You use big words like business transformation, digital transformation. We're like, wow, this is a very significant undertaking. Can I really afford to take on a project like this, especially when I need to turn on a dime as a business? And so one of the things that I've really enjoyed about my recent engagement with looking at some of this technology here demoed today is how rapidly it can be deployed, and that rapid deployment with a high degree of quality and accuracy means the cost has been significantly reduced, right? So by lowering the cost and reducing the time frame, it actually becomes much more tactical to bring this in and utilize it to benefit yourself in these times of peril, and even when times aren't tough. But in general, a lot of the you know, the minimum requirements to get in have been lowered quite significantly with kind of the use of AI and the modernization of data mining that's out there today, or process mining specifically.
Yeah, I just would add that's a great valuable input, Wes. To answer your question, Chintan, yes, there is a huge documentation and articles from reputed magazines like Business Insider and Horses for Sources. They did put process mining and process intelligence as the second most sought after technology, even ahead of ML and AI. The first one is the traditional ERP systems. And if at all, what COVID did is it accelerated or highlighted the importance of process mining and process intelligence. Great question.
Yeah, and just to add that, I mean, I think that for pretty much any digital transformation that was planned for the next 3 to 5 years was probably pulled forward as a result of COVID, and investments that were on the horizon. And one of my favorite cartoons that's out there has, you know, the board kind of sitting around with the chief saying, no, you know, these things are a few years off. It's probably years away, with this massive wrecking ball coming towards his window that says COVID-19 on it. And it's because both internal operations and external digital facing sales needed to change quickly for companies to compete in the marketplace. And process mining is a part of that. You heard Javier say that if you want to compete in the economy, when things are contracting, you have to look at your process and you have to find the places where you can squeeze as much as you can out of the business. You know, that's just the reality of what happens in a contracting marketplace. And so process mining becomes essential to that. And this type of process intelligence is the digital transformation that is necessary for more effective process mining, in my opinion. Listening to you all, I'm not the experts, you all are. And sorry, Hannah, are there more questions out there?
We do have another question. This one comes from Jamie Milling. It says, insurance companies are entering a hard market and a pandemic at the same time. Do you think process mining could help navigate these types of challenges?
I would, I'd actually throw that one at Patrick. You've been doing a lot of work in the insurance space these days. How would you answer that one?
Yeah, I mean, insurance is a pretty classic case of a business that operated in the pre-COVID-19 world. You know, it person to person, paper-based for a lot of the work that had been done. And yes, we know that a lot of insurance, when you think about car insurance, you may think of companies like Progressive and Geico, but really when you think of insurance as a whole, that Progressive, Geico kind of, you know, direct to consumer and comparative rating concept is very much the small anomaly in the insurance world. The person to person sit down with your broker is more the rule globally in terms of how insurance is sold, whether that broker or agent is with a carrier or is independent of the carrier. It tends to be a person involved there. So the need to shift to a post-COVID-19 world where people want to buy fast, which by the way was already going to happen with a millennial generation who didn't understand why they had to go see a broker to buy something like insurance, that has only been sped up. And now the insurance industry, as the question offered, with a hardening market means that the prices are gonna go up, and people aren't gonna want to pay as much. So the insurance companies have to get more efficient, to the point we were just discussing around the need to find process improvements. So you gotta find, if you're an insurance company looking at that situation where your actuarial tables are telling you have to charge more, and your customers are telling you they don't want to pay more because they don't want to pay for the inefficiencies in your business, you better find those inefficiencies and you better get rid of them. And I think what Kumar just showed us is a pretty good way to find inefficiencies and get rid of them. So I see the connection pretty clearly.
Yep.
If you're going to throw a question my way, Wes,
Great.
I don't know if you want to add to it.
No, I think you covered it very well. Was there any other questions, Hannah?
No more questions.
Okay, great. How about
Well,
any?
Yeah,
go ahead.
any closing remarks from anyone on the panel here?
Yeah, I just want to add on that insurance agency, Patrick, you touched really the great point about the insurance industry vertical. So there is one metric I'm aware of. It's called COR, the combined operation ratio. That pretty much defines how much this insurance agency is making money, right? So there is a process always involved, either onboarding the new customers, that is where the process, you need to cut down the cost, and then the claims processing. And in case of auto, there is a salvage, abrogation. There is a lot of business process that follow a claim, and certainly when you apply the process intelligence, you would know where to cut the cost. I just want to add that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that has been for years, I think, the way that the insurance industry has thought about acquisition and new client growth and reduction of claim costs. And so you could put those two together on a pretty clean process and figure out where the efficiencies could be gained.
So very good.
Well, with that, I would say to our attendees, thank you for your time. We appreciate you joining us today. To our panelists, thank you for your expertise. We thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. It's always exciting to see and learn something new. And I certainly learned from you all today and in the preparation for this discussion. And I know that there's been an offer made from you, Wes, that you would collectively, with Kumar, reach out to anyone who would like to have more discussion about this and figure out how process intelligence could work for them. So please, if you're listening and you would like to have a one-on-one session about how process intelligence could help you, please feel free to reach out directly to Wes or Kumar, and we'll find out how to make that connection with you and offer you some time to figure out what the right use case would be for you and how we could get your requirements into process intelligence to help you directly. But with that, we'd like to thank you for your time today and have a wonderful afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.